Aloha, Vicky and John here.
Don't make these 10 mistakes while you're visiting Hawaii.
Mistake number 1. Geography/time. A lot of times tourists will come to Hawaii and not really understand how far apart things are. So maybe they're like, oh, I'm gonna stay in the North Shore and go to Waikiki every day. Probably not something you want to do. So make sure you have a general understanding of the geography as well as understanding the time that's going to be necessary to get between these places. In Hawaii, we have some awesome traffic. It's really one of those things that you have to understand in order to plan for. Also, please subscribe to the channel because I'm going to be doing a basic geography lesson about Hawaii.
For a lot of us locals, if we live in town, a trip to the North Shore is a whole day affair. So just keep that in mind before you plan too many things around the island. The second mistake that a lot of people make is they don't realize how much fees there are while you're staying at resorts here in Hawaii. Now, those resort fees range from anywhere between $10 to $40 a night. And if you're staying here for a week, that adds up really quick. In addition, there's parking fees. And in some islands, for example, in Maui, many hotels have cleaning fees, which add another substantial amount to your bill.
And while those fees are understandable, knowing about them beforehand can really help put you on better footing when it comes to budgeting and understanding what you're gonna pay in Hawaii. The next mistake that people make here in Hawaii when they come to visit is they order the exact same thing they would when they're at home.
Hawaii is really a great melting pot of different cultures. You're not just looking at Hawaiian food, poke, lau lau, things like that. You're looking at tremendously great high-end and even affordable Japanese, Chinese, and even Korean food.
Broaden your horizons a little bit. I mean, order some local seafood, unless you're allergic, of course. YOLO!
The next mistake is parking mishaps. Parking is a hard thing to find in town, especially in the Waikiki area and downtown Chinatown area. Us locals, we can't find parking. So I would imagine tourists will have the same problems when you're renting a car. Make sure you look at all the signs in street parking and even in private parking. If there's a meter, chances are reading the sign, it'll tell you whether or not you have to pay or not. And sometimes it ranges from a quarter for 15 minutes or a quarter to 5 minutes. Be careful of private lots. You don't want to get your car towed away because you're parking at another business's lot, taking away their valuable slots.
I've totally done that, by the way. I parked in the wrong lot, thought I was okay, and ended up getting towed, which was not fun. Also, keep in mind that in some places in Hawaii, you're allowed to park in certain places at certain times only, or on certain days even. So please, please double check the signs. Another mistake tourists make in Hawaii is that they don't pack the right clothes. Look up what the temperature is gonna be, what is comfortable for you, what is normal for you, and then see if that would be hot, cold, in between. Where you're from really makes a difference as to what you should pack, so that's very dependent on you. I will do a video on what to pack when you're coming to Hawaii. It includes things like comfortable shoes, so please subscribe to check that out.
The next mistake that a lot of visitors have while visiting Hawaii is not respecting the culture. We do have a very big sense of aloha here in these islands, but we do expect people who are visiting our aina to have some sort of respect.
Aina means land.
Whether or not it's cultural landmarks, heiaus, even landmarks that the ancient Hawaiians have, and statues, for example. Have some respect, that's all we ask for people who are visiting here on these islands.
I still haven't forgiven Jennifer Lawrence. The next thing on our list is people come and they don't understand the basics of Hawaiian language. While that isn't something that you're gonna need to be speaking in, full Hawaiian, which I can't do, but understand things like aloha, which means hello, goodbye, or love, and mahalo, which means thank you. Also, you might want to understand mauka, which means towards the mountain, and makai, which means towards the ocean. People use those things in directions a lot. We'll do another post about general terms here in Hawaii, so please subscribe.
One of the big mistakes that visitors have while visiting Hawaii, especially on Oahu, is they're staying at the resort, namely the General Waikiki area. While there's many restaurants and many things to do in Waikiki, Oahu, for example, is a very large island. There's many things to do. So broaden your horizons a little bit, drive a little bit out, find different things. You'll find that some of the best restaurants on this island is not inside Waikiki, it's further out. And you might have to even drive towards the North Shore for something simple like shave ice. But you're not gonna regret that.
Some of the best places for shave ice are definitely on the North Shore. That's my go-to. So make sure that wherever you go is a safe location, which you can look it up or ask around to see what people suggest if you want to find out where not to go. There are gorgeous places. My favorite beaches on Oahu are in Kailua or on the North Shore. So it's not just stay in Honolulu.
My favorite side is the west side.
Another mistake that tourists make, and this one's probably one of the worst, is they're not safe with their belongings, and they don't understand that while Hawaii is a wonderful place with moderately low crime, petty theft is pretty high, especially amongst tourists who just don't know any better. I'm not saying that you don't understand safety, but in Hawaii, you need to be a little bit more careful than perhaps you are in other places. For example, I see tourists leave their bag on a chair in order to save that chair. That's not something you want to do. People will walk off with your things. I see a lot of tourists leave a cell phone on a table to reserve a table at a takeout restaurant. Not a good idea. If you're not holding your stuff, definitely don't leave it. And you don't need to be like fearful of everyone at all times, but if something is left unattended, it could very easily walk off. Also, I do want to note as well, don't leave anything visible in your car. Don't leave your hydro flask visible, don't leave your coffee cup visible. You need to put those things either under your seat or in your trunk and lock it. If somebody sees something that could be expensive, if they're like, maybe there's a tablet inside, you need to make sure that that is hidden so that if someone looks into your car, they don't automatically see your bag or your backpack or anything like that. And don't leave spare change out if you're gonna pay your meter. It sounds silly, but really trust us on this. This is not something you want to deal with, a busted windshield or a broken side window. It's not worth, messing up your vacation over. The last mistake that people make when they're coming to Hawaii is the Aloha Spirit. They don't seem to understand it. In Hawaii, people really are nice, right? They want to help you for the most part. People will be kind, helpful. They love to talk story, which means to chat and to just make connections with you. Lean into that. Be kind to other people. Make small talk with anybody and everybody, and really realize that this kind, open aloha is real, and it is something that is very special about Hawaii. So don't forget that as something that's very important here.
Thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed this video, and don't forget, like and subscribe for more videos.